the AI bubble might be bursting. So if you've been paying attention in the last, 2 years or so, I would say is the real run up of, in the start and the takeoff of AI overall. And now I feel like it's become pretty saturated. Obviously, there's still claims of how fast it's developing and all the new things it can do here and there. But if you're watching this and you're a little bit older than me, and maybe you remember the dot-com crisis, the dot-com bubble in the early 2000s. I think 2001 is the day, like the year people normally cite when they talk about the dot-com bubble. But looking into it a little bit, like I said, I wasn't alive for most of this, so doing my brief little research here. For about a 5-year period, at the beginning of this, the lead up, from 95 to 2000, the internet in general, as its newfound thing that it is, the amazing thing we call the internet, its growth and its promise as this revolutionary thing leads to an explosion in all these companies that they call it the dot-com bubble, just because all these companies just put .com at the end of their names basically and try to tie the internet into everything they do regardless, in an effort to basically get with the times and increase their value because they saw it as the next big thing, which, hey, they weren't wrong. But there's a problem here. I guess the saying, easy come, easy go applies. When there's no underlying value and all these companies ride the hype of the next big thing into the stratosphere of as stock values as it is, there inevitably will be a pullback, there will be a correction, a crash, whatever you want to call it. The dot-com bubble was this for all these companies that just didn't really have any application, but over a 5-year period, the stock market explodes in value 5x or more, depending on obviously what stock you're talking about. But generally, I think the Nasdaq was up 600% over this 5-year period. And then over the next 2 years, it all crashed down. And then the Nasdaq dropped 78% is the value I saw that was cited from its peak to its low over that period. The problem was very similar, I think, to what's happening today. And argue with me in the comments. I'd appreciate it if you let me know what you guys think. And obviously, if I'm getting anything wrong, correct me. But generally, I'm trying to talk big concept here, so I'll try not to get too in the weeds. But very similar. All these companies, they join the hype train. They market all these products. Hey, look what we're doing. We're getting with the times. Internet, rah, rah. All good. In 1999 into 2000, the Fed raises rates. Inflation's going too crazy. They raise rates similar to what's happening just previously to what we're doing right now. Fed raises rates. Subsequently, these companies that were on the train come out and their earnings are bad. Basically, they're not making any money. Their stock values have exploded, but nobody's making any money. They're not earning anything. The companies are just burning money. That leads to investors basically panic selling, and then obviously it kind of is like a circular thing where people sell, price goes lower, people panic, they sell, price goes lower, and it just drives it to the ground. A lot of these companies didn't survive that process. A lot of them just gone, bankrupt, dissolved afterwards. Other companies, obviously, who actually had a good product, had an underlying value to them, succeeded. I was just looking at Google's stock chart from what I saw. I think Google went public, it looks like from their chart at least, in 2004. The company existed before that. But a company like Google, nowadays especially, they're in the AI game as well, but the company makes money. The AI thing is a portion of it. They obviously want it to be bigger if it can. If it makes some money, they're going to try to tie in. Same with the Facebooks and the Amazons of the world. These companies make money. They want to rope AI in to make more money. Now there's these other companies. It's similar. We'll get into NVIDIA maybe some other time, but NVIDIA is like the backbone of this with their chips and their cards they make. The processing power, they make the raw material basically that is AI, not the software part. And it's a company that makes money. So I don't think NVIDIA is going anywhere, but will their stock decrease if this all crashes down? Who knows? We're watching overall the stock prices are down or flat, I would say. Flat or down over the last couple months. And just recently, gold and silver exploded in value, which is not normally a good thing to happen. And now they're correcting pretty hard. Bitcoin down 10% today when I just looked earlier today. I am so happy I sold my Bitcoin. And I know people who love Bitcoin will be like, oh, you're a fucking idiot. I'm so happy I sold my Bitcoin. And I sold it at like 102, 103,000 when I did. Used the money that I sold my Bitcoin to put the down payment on the house, actually. So bought a hard asset with it instead. It went up after I had sold it. I sold it on the beginning half. It went up to like 120,000, and now we're down at 60-some thousand, 63, 64,000. From peak, it's already down 50% in months. Talking, or I guess maybe not months. I guess it'd be over the last 8 months to a year-ish or so. It's decreased 50% value. Not ideal. Bitcoin lovers, get on my case if you want, but I feel pretty good about it. I don't dislike Bitcoin. I think it's a cool technology. I don't really buy into the inherent value that the Bitcoiners love to talk about. But besides that, a lot of these assets are, like I said, either flat or falling pretty quickly in value. Right now, like I said, similarities to the dot-com crisis. Fed did raise rates. Same situation. Inflation was too high. They jacked the rates up. Jack them up in air quotes. Comparatively not that crazy, but they raise them to try to get inflation under control. Then, what company do you know right now that is not pushing an AI product? I mean, everybody's pushing AI no matter what it is. It's constant. People are talking about the Super Bowl coming up here soon and how many AI ads there'll be. Watch the Super Bowl. They've dumped tons and tons and tons of marketing money into this to try to pull people to AI. I've made other videos about AI. It can do some cool shit. It's not like it's without any merit at all. I don't think that. Overall, though, the hype is not worth it in my opinion. I'm not a computer programmer. I don't know the ins and outs of AI to that level. I'll level with you on that. I've tried to use AI. A lot of times it's worthless. And hey, it might be user error or whatever. But in my opinion, if a regular person, I would say I'm a little more computer savvy than just your average Joe off the street or whatever. Used computers obviously my whole life, grew up in the age of computers and things like that. I get how to use them. It's not that hard to type a prompt in and try to get it to do what you want. But when the product that it spits out is just garbage, either it's just wrong, or it's just making stuff up, or it's not actually giving you the result that you want, why am I using it? Or it's less efficient than me just doing it the manual way anyway. Try to use Copilot at work, try to make a calendar invite, and it can't do it. It just can't. It's like, this is Microsoft's AI. Microsoft's one of the biggest companies in the world and they can't figure this shit out. Apple just gave up on their AI and they're gonna go to ChatGPT. Like my phone that I'm recording this on, you hold the button for Siri now and it goes to ChatGPT. Apple couldn't figure out AI. They couldn't make it work, or it wasn't profitable to them. So here's another huge $1 trillion company that just says, you know what, fuck it. We'll just use the people who already have it figured out and we'll go from there. It can do some really cool stuff as far as summarizing things and spitting out text to you. Very good. The file editing, I've seen the videos, the generated photos. I mean, yeah, all cool, all great, whatever. Is it making any money though? The productivity thing is obviously the biggest linchpin in all of this. Is like, if you can figure out how to increase everybody's productivity by 10, 20%, your AI is worth a lot of money. If you can't, I don't know. I use Grok every once in a while on Twitters to summarize something, say, hey, give me a summary of this or this historical event, tell me what happened for here or there. It's great at it. Does that make anybody money? To me, this is a glorified search engine for the most part. These LLMs are Google on steroids. Google obviously has its own, the AI summary. When you Google something, it spits all this stuff out. That is cool. It's good. But I don't know if it's making anybody money. And I think, to back up my position on this, is some of the biggest AI companies in the world that aren't parts of obviously a bigger company that owns them, a la Google with what is Google's called? I'm blanking on it. Whatever. They have their own name for theirs. Microsoft Copilot. It's constant. If it's its own company, OpenAI, I think, is one of the biggest ones. ChatGPT, I don't know if they've been acquired or not, but they're burning money. I know from what I've heard, so take it with a grain of salt, and it's an estimate, but this OpenAI company that NVIDIA is in this weird loop with, as far as they basically promise to invest, their stock price goes up, they promise to buy more, NVIDIA promises to invest, and it just keeps going around and around and around. This company's burning billions of dollars a year, just burning it. They're not making any money. And there's other companies that have done this in the past. I think like Uber and Lyft and Netflix and some of these other companies, they keep the prices low to drive out competition for a period of years with investor money, and then they monopolize their thing basically and go from there. That's a proven strategy, I guess. It works. But right now, these companies aren't making any money. So how close are we to the stage of investors who keep dumping money into these projects, backing out and bailing because they see earnings reports where it's like, dude, you guys are burning $10 billion a year and not making a single dime, and you have no plan to become profitable in the next 5 years. You just want to keep fundraising and bringing in more and more money. I think we're pretty close. If the stock market crashes, it crashes. I don't really care. I'm not going to pray for it to crash or whatever. I'm more of this is why you dollar cost average, you don't worry about this kind of thing, and it's interesting to watch, but I don't feel worried about it whatsoever. The AI companies, I think probably, I don't know, rough numbers, 70 to 80% of them deserve to just implode because they don't actually provide a service of any kind. They're literally just useless in a speculation scheme of like, hey, maybe it'll blow up and we'll make a bunch of money and then we'll get out. They're allowed to do that. They can do that. That's fine. But that doesn't mean your product is ever going to bring in any money as far as some of these other long-term staple in companies that have stocks that have blown up 10,000% in the last 10 to 20 years as they provide a service that is used by everybody. I also don't think AI is the new internet either. Maybe one day, in its current state, not even close. Maybe one day when they want to talk about Gen AI and all these things where it's a real AI, not, we just call everything AI now, but like I said, it's a summary machine. It just organizes sources and spits it out to you in a nice method, which like I said, useful and cool, but this isn't AI. It's not thinking, it's not doing anything for itself. When we get there, maybe we can talk about it being the next internet, and then maybe we'll see some AI companies come through that, if they weather this storm, if the AI bubble bursts and we see stocks crash all over the tech sector because of it, maybe the best and the brightest will make it through, and then we'll go from there. I think that's a good thing that happens. It's kind of required to happen. The crash might be worse than previous ones because we live in this world where we keep borrowing money, we keep printing money. Obviously, asset values explode. We crash the economy, we repeat over and over again. We're both on exponential curves. We keep going more and more into debt as a country. The world keeps going more into debt. Stock values and asset values keep going up, higher and higher exponentially to keep up. I don't think that's ending anytime soon. I would assume if you pay any attention to the economic model of the United States, that's where we're at as far as the money keeps being devalued, so everything else that's worth money goes up in value over time. That's just the world we live in, I guess. So let me know what you guys think. Are we in .com 2.0 AI bubble, the AI apocalypse, or is it just maybe a little brief drawback and we'll see? I don't know. We'll have to wait probably a couple months to a year to see. Hey, I mean, if we keep on the downward trajectory, and then a year from now, S&P's down 20, 30, 40%, and the Qs or whatever, the technology, the index is all down 70% because AI has imploded, and every AI except maybe 4 or 5 big companies has died, has perished and went bankrupt, then we can look back and say, yep, that was the beginning. We called it. That was correct. So let me know what you guys think. Leave a like on the video if you got some out of it. Dislike it if you didn't. And I'd be really interested. I've made other AI videos, like I said, in the past, but tell me if you're getting any use out of this as far as productivity, where it's like, this is noticeably impacting my life in a way that can make me some money, because I'd be interested to hear it. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.